Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamunatira Vanacham Harim Yamunatira Vanacham Harim Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihang Hari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihang Hari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Radha Shyam Sundara Radha Shyam Sundara Hare Jaya Radha Shyam Radha Shyam Jaya Radha Shyam Jaya Krishna Balaram Krishna Balaram, Krishna Balaram, Jaya Krishna Balaram. Jaya Gauranitai, 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 Jaya Gauranitai. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Vishwapad Paramahamsa Parivrajagacharya Shota Shata Shishna Chila A.C. Bhakti-Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki. Jaya Vishwapad Paramahamsa Parivrajagacharya Shota Shata Shishna Chila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Srila Prabhupada ki. Ananta Kore Vaishnavarinda ki. Sirup Si Sanatan Bhattaraganath Si Jiva Paravatada Saraganath Sari Goswami Prabhu ki. Prem se ko Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Advaita Gadadhar Shivjari Gaura Bhaktavrinda ki. Sri Radha Krishna Go Gopal Gopi Gopinath Cham Kunda Radha Kundi Giri Govardhana ki. Vrindavan Dham ki. Mathura Dham ki, Mayapur Dham ki, Jagannathpuri Dham ki, Tulsi Maharani Bhakti Devi ki, Ganga Yamuni Devi ki, Harinam Sankirtan Yagya ka, Sri Sri Gonitai ki, Sri Sri Krishna Balaram ki, Sri Radha Shyam Sundar ki, Go Premanande Hari Hari Bol, Samaveta Bhakta Vrindi ki. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. A reading from the Bhagavad-Gita as it is, first chapter, text number 41. Saṅkaro narakāyaiva kula-ghnānāṁ kulasya cha patanti pitaro eṣāṁ lupta-piṇḍodaka-kriyāḥ saṅkaro narakāyaiva kula-ghnānāṁ kulasya cha patanti pitaro eṣāṁ lupta-piṇḍodaka-kriyāḥ saṅkaro narakāyaiva kula-ghnānāṁ kulasya cha patanti pitaro eṣāṁ lupta-piṇḍodaka-kriyāḥ saṅkaro narakāyaiva kula-ghnānāṁ kulasya 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 patanti pitaro eṣāṁ lupta-piṇḍodaka-kriyāḥ
saṅkaro narakāyaiva kula-ghnānāṁ kulasya patanti pitaro eṣāṁ lupta-piṇḍodaka-kriyāḥ.
Matajis?
saṅkaro narakāyaiva kula-ghnānāṁ kulasya patanti pitaro eṣāṁ lupta-piṇḍodaka-kriyāḥ.
Saṅkara, such unwanted children, narakāya, make for hellish life. Eva, certainly, kula-ghnānāṁ, for those who are killers of the family, kulasya, for the family, cha, also, patanti, fall down, pitaraḥ, forefathers, he, certainly, eṣāṁ, of them, lupta, stopped, piṇḍa, of offerings of food, udaka, and water, kriyāḥ, performances. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti-yoga Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki. An increase of unwanted population certainly causes hellish life, both for the family and for those who destroy the family tradition. The ancestors of such corrupt families fall down because the performance for offering them food and water are entirely stopped. Purport. According to the rules and regulations of fruitic activities, there is a need to offer periodical food and water to the forefathers of the family. This offering is performed by worship of Vishnu because eating the remnants of food offered to Vishnu can deliver one from all kinds of sinful reactions. Sometimes the forefathers may be suffering from various types of sinful reactions, and sometimes some of them cannot even acquire a gross material body and are forced to remain in subtle bodies as ghosts. Thus, when remnants of prasadam food are offered to the forefathers by descendants, the forefathers are released from ghostly or other kinds of miserable life. Such help rendered to the forefathers is a family tradition, and those who are not in devotional life are required to perform such rituals. One who is engaged in the devotional life is not required to perform such actions. Simply by performing devotional service, one can deliver hundreds and thousands of forefathers from all kinds of misery. It is stated in the Srimad Bhagavatam, 11th canto, 5th chapter, text 41. Devashchiputaptaninam pritaninam naking koronayam rinicharajan sarvatmanaya sharanam sharanyam gato mukundam parirityakatam. Anyone who has taken shelter over the lotus feet of Mukunda, the giver of liberation, giving up all kinds of obligation, and has taken to the path in all seriousness, owes neither duties nor obligations to the demigods, sages, general living entities, family members, humankind, or forefathers. Such obligations are automatically fulfilled by performance of devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Om ajnanatirmirandasya jnananjana salakaya chakashoranmritam yanam tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Sayam Rupagadāmayam Dadhati Sabadantikam Bandeham Sri Guru Sri Yodhabadagamalan Sri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Sirupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raganatan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Sri Vishakandvitam Scham He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpade Gopesha Govigaganta Radha Kanta Namastude Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshari Vrishabhano Sude Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Turubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Vyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shivajari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare saṅkaro narakāyaiva kula-ghnānāṁ kulasya cha patanti pitaro eṣāṁ lupta-piṇḍodaka-kriyāḥ. An increase of unwanted population certainly causes hellish life, both for the family and for those who destroy the family tradition. The ancestors of such corrupt families fall down because the performances for offering them food and water are entirely stopped. So here in this verse, and also the next verses, and the previous few verses also, Arjuna is explaining to Krishna while he thinks that he should not fight against the enemy. So, because he was thinking especially that some great personalities are there on the opposite side. Bhishmadev was taking care of actually both the families, the Kauravas and the Pandavas. He was very much respected amongst all, and he was a great personality, a devotee of the Lord, following religious principles, wanting to protect Hastinapura, the capital of the ancient time. Of course, even now, Delhi is the capital. And then Dronacharya, the spiritual master of both the Kauravas and the Pandavas. Kripacharya was also a teacher. So he felt it is not proper to fight against them. Which from one point of view it is true, it is mentioned in scriptures. One should respect the elders, Gurujan. So mentally one should respect, and vocally also. One should not speak harshly against or impolitely towards the seniors. And then what to speak of physically? And then trying to fight with the seniors. As here, it was to be expected from him now. So he was very hesitant. And then he saw also his family members there, or friends are there. So due to compassion, which is a natural symptom of a devotee, so he was hesitant to fight. And then also it was mentioned about how one has to protect the dynasty, the family tradition. otherwise there will be irreligion will be there. And then more specifically, he was saying that one should protect the women. That is mentioned in the scriptures also. Women, of course children also, and even the elderly people, elderly persons, and the brahmanas, they have to be protected. But if there is irreligion in the family, then that is neglected. And then, as mentioned in the previous verse, and then also the women, they may become polluted, and then unwanted progeny may come. So, but here ultimately it is hinted at. So first of all, that is the mistake of the head of the family, of the man of the family, who are not able to follow religious principles properly, and therefore they are not also able to protect the women. And then there is unwanted population. So of course many times men also, they act against the religious principles and engage in illicit activities with the opposite sex. And then there's degradation. And in this way, the situation in the family becomes, as explained in this verse, becomes hellish, naraka. It is just like hell. And then, in this way, when the situation in the family is not according to the scriptures, when God is not in the center, then not only all the family members, but then the descendants also, and the forefathers, they will actually not be happy. As specifically here mentioned in this verse, that piṇḍodaka, piṇḍa, that is offering of food, udaka means water, kriya, so this activity. So when this is stopped, and then the forefathers, they may not be, they will live it from their situation. As explained in the purport by Prabhupada, so if one is not following religious principles, and then if one is sinful, and then one's next life will not be auspicious. One will go to the hellish planet, or even, of course, in the bodies of animals. It was even the saying goes that eating like a dog. Sometimes people, they're eating like dogs, and so they may become dogs if they eat non-vegetarian food. And even you can see sometimes people who are keeping dogs also, which usually is not done in Vedic culture, and then instead of worshipping God, they just do the opposite. So God, God, Prabhupada used to say, instead of worshipping God, they are worshipping Dog, just the opposite, dog. So by worshipping dog, by taking care of the dogs, one is not elevated, but one is degraded. Because then they become absorbed in taking care, instead of being absorbed in remembering God, Krishna, they're absorbed in remembering dogs. So they have a dog, and we have seen practically, I've seen at least, especially in the West you can see, people that are taking care of the dog, and they're so much absorbed in taking care of the dog, feeding him, and then going for a walk, and just making sure that the dog is happy. And so then they're looking at that dog all the time, and many times you can see then the face of the person sometimes looks just like the dog. I've seen. So he's preparing to become a dog. Because he's, especially in those places where they don't know the values of life, they don't know that one has to worship God and one has to live a civilized life according to the scriptures. And then they become degraded. Even worse, of course, if one is very sinful, one will go to the hellish planets and has to suffer there greatly. Or sometimes, of course, if somebody is committing suicide, then sometimes it happens due to a religious life, due to, of course, sometimes depression or whatever reason. If one is committing suicide, then he gets a ghostly body, he becomes a ghost. And that is more suffering. Because there's no enjoyment is there, because the gross body is there. And even those who may be a little more pious, but and they may go to the pitari-lok, the planet where the forefathers are, those who are attached to the family and they want to take care of the family. And then they will do piṇḍa, they will give some offerings of food to the forefather and udaka and water. And then because of attachment towards a family member, instead of the Lord, then they may go to pitari-loka also, where the forefathers are. So, but that is of no use ultimately. But human form of life is meant for self-realization. We should realize that we are the eternal sons of Krishna. We are not this body, we are spirit souls. And the goal should be to go to the spiritual world and then enjoy spiritual life in relation with Krishna, in loving exchange. So it is mentioned in the scriptures that for the common man who is following the Vedic literatures, that one should offer food and water to the forefathers. And even we can see many times in India, some pious persons, they will still do that. But specifically Prabhupada is mentioned that Vishnu Prasad should be offered to the forefathers. Because sometimes we can see in India they are offering something to the demigods and then they will offer to the forefathers, or they will directly offer to the forefathers. But so that may be done and some benefit will be there by the arrangement of ultimately the Lord, but they don't know that. The process, the proper process, but specifically Prabhupada is mentioning, and that actually is Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself. He was doing that. He went to Gaya in Bihar, where is a place where common people are doing this piṇḍa. And so Mahaprabhu himself went there and he offered something to Vishnu. Although he's the source of all incarnations, he's Swayam Bhagavan. But he came as a devotee to show us how to, first of all, live a good life according to Vana Ashram. But then also with Krishna in the center. And then of course he established the Yuga Dharma, the chanting of the holy names. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And then he also showed in which mood one should worship Krishna. So as a householder, so he was doing his duties nicely. And then, so just to set the example, he went to Gaya in Bihar and he offered some foodstuffs to Vishnu. And that Vishnu Prasad he offered to the forefathers. For the benefit of the forefathers. Of course, there was no need for that because he's the Supreme Lord. And the forefathers, they were Like, for example, his father is in eternal associate, no need to do for him. He had also already left this world, Jagannath Mishra. But then even his grandfather or great-grandfather, he didn't have to do anything for them because they're already blessed, because Mahaprabhu is there, the Supreme Lord. And it is mentioned that a devotee, Prabhupada has mentioned also, that one is not obliged, and is quoting from the Srimad Bhagavatam 11 canto, that if one is surrendered, Sharanyam, Sharanam, Sharanyam, Gato Mukundam, if one is surrendered to Mukunda, Krishna, the giver of liberation, he doesn't have to worship the Devarshi, the Devas, the demigods, the Rishis, the forefathers. There's no need of that if one is surrendered to Krishna. And then, so the forefathers already benefit and different, in different places, different, in this regards of the benefit which the forefathers are getting, and how many generations before and after. And ordinary, for an ordinary devotee, sometimes it is mentioned 3 generations, for others 7, for others 11, depending on the power of the devotee, the purity of the devotee. One is just a new devotee and is engaged in devotional service, then his parents and then grandparents, great-grandparents, they will get some benefit, and the descendants also, his children, grandchildren. If one is a well-established devotee, on the intermediate state, and 7 generations before and after. One is a pure devotee, at least 11 generations before, and Prabhupada is writing thousands of generations. That means for a Mahabhagavat, great personality. Just like if you have a pond of water, and sometimes the children, they play, they put some stones inside, throwing some stones in the water. If you have a small stone, you put that inside, plop, it goes inside, and you see some kind of wave is there. But a small stone, the small effect is there. You have a bigger stone, you put it throw it in the water, but a little wave. But if you have a huge stone, then you can see quite a lot of circles of water are formed due to that. Similarly, a little devotion, and so the effect will be there a few families before and after. If one is a pure devotee, extremely powerful, then by that power, so many generations before, they will get the benefit. Even Prabhupada in one letter he has mentioned, if one is nicely situated in devotional service in this lifetime, then even the last lifetime, means not only before and after, but left and right too. Even in the last life, so those who were connected to him, even maybe in the last lifetime he was not such a great devotee, but in this lifetime he's becoming a great devotee. So then those in the last lifetime connected to him in the last lifetime, so they will also benefit. Because now he has become a great devotee. So such is the effect of the devotees who are properly situated in devotional service. And then, so the Supreme Lord is appreciating, and that's why. And then the demigods, they're recognizing, and they're also servants of the Lord ultimately. Some are greater servants than others. Like some demigods are there, and they are very materialistic. But still, I mean, we should respect them. Like Lord Indra. So he's a great demigod, but at the same time, sometimes he has some difficulty because he becomes a little lusty. And even he insulted Krishna 1 or 2 times. When Krishna went there to get, he went to the heavenly planet, and he took a few flowers, the parijata flowers. And then, okay, Indra, okay, anyway, he just took 2 flowers, no problem. But then, so he gave the flower to Rukmini. I was thinking, oh, okay, I should give it to my dear wife. And of course, the other queens, they were not saying anything. But then, Satyabhama, hey, why are you giving to Rukmini? And she became angry. And she went into her chamber and she threw away her jewelry and crying. And then Krishna had to go there. Oh, my dear Satyabhama, I'm sorry, but don't worry. Just for 2 flowers you're crying. Don't worry. I will go to Indralok again. I will get the whole tree for you. Okay, then she was pacified. What to do? Even Krishna has to do what the wives are saying. What to speak of ordinary householders. Sometimes you have to do what the wife is saying. Bengali saying is there also proper quoted. If the husband is doing what the wife is saying, is known as handpacked, or his handpacked is doing what the wife is saying. But then the saying goes also, if the husband is not doing what the wife says, then married life cannot go on. So what to do? But anyway, it has to be balanced, and one has to be humble and tolerant and respectful. Both the husband and the wife. Then married life will go on nicely. So then no problem, the wife can say something and the husband will tolerate. But then of course there has to be some maryada also. And in public then the wife should always be very humble, subservient. Anyhow, so Satyabhama became angry and Krishna went again to Indralok and he took the tree from there. Parijata tree, and Indra, hey, Krishna, what are you doing here? This belongs to the heavenly planets. You cannot go to this earthly planet. And then Krishna, it's okay, don't worry. No, you cannot take. And then of course Krishna is the Supreme Lord, and who is Indra? He's supposed to be the servant, but he just lost it. And then Krishna just, pushed him away. And then of course, so first he was ready to fight, but then he understood also, well actually he's the Lord. And then he couldn't do anything, and he didn't do anything. And so that was brought back, and then Satyabhama was satisfied. So these are the wonderful pastimes of the Lord also. Sometimes, so it is known as Naravat Lila. Just like human beings, sometimes the pastimes are there of the Lord. But so just many times also just mostly to give some practical examples for the common man, how to behave. So even Krishna is saying in the 4th chapter that I'm following these principles of the scriptures just to educate the common man. Otherwise, if I would not do, then others will follow me. And as he already said in the 3rd chapter, yad yad acharati sheshtas tattat evatara janaha. Whatever great man is doing, the common man will follow. And whatever standard he's setting, the whole world will follow. So therefore Krishna himself, of course in Braj that is another story, because there is a small boy, and small boys, whatever they're doing is okay. So Krishna, whatever he was doing there was okay. Stealing some butter from others' houses, and he's glorified for that. Stealing the gopis' clothes and so like that. But and then Krishna, of course, when he was in Mathura and Dwarka, then he was doing everything according to scriptures. Just to set the example for the common man. So Mahaprabhu, just to set the example for the common man, he performed his pastimes in this world, and so he was offering to the forefathers piṇḍa. So the common man, it is mentioned here, they should do, and then otherwise they will not be delivered from their present situation. Wherever they may be, the forefathers, in hell or in Pitrilok or as in the ghost body. But specifically it has to be Krishna Prasad, and then there is benefit there for them. So Mahaprabhu himself, so he showed by his example. So therefore even you can see in India, the Vaishnavas also traditionally, sometimes they will offer something to the forefathers, but it is Krishna Prasad. and then there will be benefit to the forefathers. But even if they don't do, because they are engaged in devotional service, there will be some benefit. Just because it is the tradition, though many of the Vaishnavas in India, they will do that. And there's a time known as Shraddha Paksha. That is after Radhashtami, from full moon day till new moon day, Purnima till Anavasya, for 2 weeks, that is known as Shraddha Paksha. So pious persons, they will give something to the forefathers for their benefit. So even sometimes Vaishnavas are doing. Even we can see in Gaur Leela, not only Mahaprabhu, but even Advaita Acharya, one time he was doing a ceremony. And he's also, of course we know, an incarnation of the Lord, Sadashiva and Mahavishnu. So, and today is also, of course, the appearance day of Lord Shiva, Shivratri. So Advaita Acharya, he also at one time, he performed Shraddha ceremony. And then afterwards, it is usually the custom when some ceremony is performed, then you feed the Vaishnavas. And then specifically there's one Shraddha Patra. So Vishnu Prasad is offered to the forefathers, of course, but then also one plate was reserved for the foremost of the Brahmanas, or devotees of the Lord. So Advaita Acharya, he told Haridas Thakur, he had invited him also, and all his friends who were Brahmanas from good families. But Haridas Thakur was born in a Muslim family, but he was always chanting the holy names. And therefore he was called Namacharya by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself. So, therefore Advaita Acharya, he thought, well, let me offer to him, because he's actually a Vaishnava who is worshipping Krishna with love and devotion. A pure devotee is equal to any Brahmana, is even superior if the Brahmana is not fully engaged in devotional service. So then he offered that, but Haridas Thakur humbly said, well, I'm not from a Brahmana family, there are many Brahmanas here. They will object. And Advaita Acharya said, no, I feel that you are the most qualified, so therefore you should be given that. And then of course some of the Brahmanas, they were saying, how come he's giving to Haridas Thakur and not to any of the Brahmanas here? But out of respect, then mostly they kept silent. And those who are intelligent and those who are devoted, they knew the glories of Haridas Thakur, and then they didn't object, and it was given to him. So during that time, for 2 weeks, Shraddha Paksha, so those following Vedic culture, even Vaishnavas, sometimes they will offer to the forefathers. And then they are feeding also, of course. When the ceremony is performed, then they're feeding the general devotees also, and Brahmanas. So we have to see time, place and circumstances. But most important, as mentioned in the purport by Srila Prabhupada, and quoting the famous verse from the Srimad Bhagavatam, that one is, if one is fully surrendered to Krishna, then one is not obliged to worship the forefathers or the demigods, sages, or even humankind. So one has no practically, one has no really any obligation, so to say, if one is surrendered to Krishna. But especially sannyasis, if they give up all obligations to this material world by entering the renounced order of life with Krishna in the center, worshipping Krishna, then they are not obliged to anybody, because they are fully surrendered to Krishna with body, mind and words. No obligation for the sannyasis. But if one is a householder, just to set the example, then even if he is a pure devotee, just to set the example, he will respect other personalities, sages, or as explained, he may offer something to the forefathers. And even, so sometimes, especially like on this day, Shivratri, it is even mentioned by Sanatana Goswami in Hari Bhakti Vilas, that we may offer respect to Lord Shiva. And even, especially Sanatana Goswami, it is well known that he had so much respect for Lord Shiva, showing respect to him, actually just to teach us that we should respect. Of course, we worship Krishna, we worship Mahaprabhu, but then it doesn't mean that we disrespect the demigods, or we disrespect the family members, or even ordinary people. We know Vaishnava is respectful towards all. Even he will not unnecessarily kill an ant. So because he has a respect, because he's also Jiva, servant of the Lord. What to speak of the family members, what to speak of the demigods. Sometimes you see devotees join and then they come sometimes a little bit fanatic, and then they think, oh yes, my parents, they are eating meat, and so I should not have anything to do with them, and I'm practically rejecting them. Or even sometimes in India, so then they hear we should not worship the demigods, and then they will not they will not show respect to the parents also, or because they are still worshipping the demigods, and no, we cannot have anything to do with them. But no, that is not the proper mood actually. Still, we should respect them, and actually we should try to help them. That is the duty of a son or a daughter. Putra is there to liberate the family members also, if they are not fully engaged in devotional service. So they should maintain a relationship, but some distance if they are not following the principles, Vaishnava principles. But then they can give them prasadam, the parents. Then they become purified. And they should have some relationship, even though it may be just formal, because they are still addicted to sinful activities, if they eat meat or drink or something like that. But they should they should not just cut off the relationship. And so what to speak of the demigods also? If some, like in India, many of the family members, they are worshipping the demigods. At least they are worshipping somebody. At least they have faith in some higher beings. But then we can tell them that we should not just worship the demigods, that is fine, but you should worship the source of everything, that is Krishna, the Supreme Lord, or Ram, or Vishnu. And the demigods are just servants also of the Lord. But they are empowered, and so but different demigods are there. But the foremost of all them, that is actually Lord Shiva. So therefore, Sanat Goswami is mentioning that we should show respect, and therefore it is mentioned in our calendar, Shivratri. And amongst even, so Sanat Goswami or the many Gaudiya Vaishnavas, they, even on Shivratri, actually they will fast half a day, or some even till the evening, and they may only take Ekadashi Prasad. But anyhow, Prabhupada didn't mention, and there's no harm. But still we should show respect to him, at least mentally. That is a great Vaishnava, as mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam, Yatha Vaishnavam Shambhu. And is it Acharya, like in our Sampradaya, Brahma is the Adi Guru, so we should respect him. He's also not an ordinary demigod, but even superior than Lord Brahma is Lord Shiva, Shiva Tattva. And he's one also, the Adi Guru in one Sampradaya, Rudra Sampradaya. So they have to be respected. Especially Lord Shiva and Sanat Goswami. Wherever he was staying near a Shiva temple. Like here in Vrindavan, he stayed near Gopeshwar Mahadev, or he was, when he was then worshipping Madan Mohan, then in his old age it was difficult for him to go to Gopeshwar, and then actually Mahadev appeared nearby also, Bankan Mahadev, which is not so far from the Madan Mohan temple, so that Sanat Goswami could go there, and of respect to him, he appeared there. When he was in Govardhan, he stayed near Manasi Ganga, Chakaleshwar Mahadev. So in one time, Sanat Goswami was staying there doing his chanting and But then there were many mosquitoes there. He was thinking, I cannot stay there. Too many mosquitoes. Then Lord Shiva came as a Brahmana and told him, please stay here, I like your association. And then he was saying, well, too many, Sanatana Goswami was saying, too many mosquitoes here. And then Shiva, as the Brahmana, he said, well, don't worry, I will take care of that. And then he also realized that this is actually Lord Shiva. And then actually Shiva, who is very powerful, so he arranged that the mosquitoes would go somewhere else, and then so then he could stay there. So there's a relationship there. Shimad Gopishwaram Vande Shankara Karunamayam Sarvaklesharam Devam Vrindavan Yarati Pradam. This is a verse actually by also Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. So he also showed respect to Gopeshwar. And then, so by offering respect to him then, and remembering him, then so many difficulties can be removed. And we may attain rati, a transcendental affection for Vrindavan Dham and for Radha and Krishna. Another verse is mentioning glorification of Lord Shiva, that even Sanatan, the four Kumaras, Narad, and other great personalities, they show respect to Lord Shiva. And then who is taking shelter of Radha Krishna, and he can give prem to Radha and Krishna. He has prem for Radha and Krishna. In Braj, there are famous verses in glorification of Srimati Radharani. Munindra Vrindavandite Triloka Shokaharine Prasanna Vakta Pankajeni Kunjabu Vilasini Brajendra Banu Nandini Brajendra Sunu Sangate Kadakarishyasi Hamam Kripa Kadaksha Bhajanam. 11 verses are there. Praying for the sidelong, merciful glance of Srimati Radharani. And he actually told this Radha Kripa Kataksha Stotram to Parvati Devi. And so that is well known in Braj. Practically all Brijvasis who are real Brijvasis who are worshipping Radha Krishna, they will know this stotram. And so therefore we show respect to him. And but our main, of course, our Vishaya Vigraha, the object of our love is Mahaprabhu and then Radha and Krishna, but we should respect to others. We show respect to others also. At least sometimes, as on this day of Shiravratri. So that should be done. So we have to, so we have to try to be properly situated in our devotional life, and of course always try to be absorbed in serving Guru, Gauranga and Radha Krishna. But then we have to be respectful towards all, and then we have to try to follow also Vana Ashram, as we can see, and following the rules and regulations of the 4 Vanas and Ashrams. And as Prabhupada also mentioned many times that, so he has established the movement, but he could not fully establish Vana Ashram, so which he wanted to do. But of course, to some extent it is already there in our society by Prabhupada's mercy. The pujaris are there who are brahmanas, and the managers are there who are like, kshatriyas. But we don't identify with the position, but we all should remember that we are the eternal servants of Krishna. But one has to act as a brahmana, and one has to act as a kshatriya and follow the rules and regulations of the vanas and the ashrams. And anyone who must be in the ashram, either one is a brahmachari or one is a grihasta. Or then later on one may be vanaprastha or sannyasi, so one has to follow. And but foremost is to worship Krishna, but then we have to follow the rules and regulations also of Vanashram, and even according to the scriptures, Niti Shastra, moral codes are there, and one should be truthful and like that. And so all these things should be followed, and then one can advance and perfect one's life. Hare Krishna. Any questions? Yes.
Thank you for the wonderful class. If the forefathers were Krishna devotees, still we have to offer piṇḍodaka-kriyāḥ?
If the forefathers were Krishna devotee, it's not that you have to, but sometimes due to sentiment one will do. If somebody, for example, loved his father and mother, which is natural, and even though the father and mother, they were devotees, but let's say when they die, they leave the body, then there's a ceremony, and he will offer Krishna Prasad to them. And then after 1 year usually, then they will remember, oh, well, first 1 year passed, my father left the body, and if he has love for his father, then he will offer some Krishna Prasad to the picture of his father. He will invite some devotees and feed all the devotees. And they will come. And there's no harm. There's no harm in that. It can be done. Just like if the spiritual master lives. Every year we celebrate the appearance and disappearance of the spiritual master. So the father is also Gurujan. If he's a devotee, has given knowledge by which now we understand the things, then he can be respected, no harm. You can do that, no harm, no problem. And if he's a great devotee, then we are blessed if we do that. Just like the spiritual master, we are blessed if we worship the spiritual master on the appearance day. We are blessed if we worship the spiritual master on the disappearance day. They don't need the offering, but we need for our purification. Similarly, if the father is a great devotee, and we offer something to him, he doesn't need, he's a great devotee, Krishna is taking care, but we'll get the benefit. So we can do no harm. Okay? Fine. Any other question?
In the spiritual world, there's no dog?
In the spiritual world, there's no dog? Yes, there's dog there. Even this is mentioned in the Krishna Karnadesh Dipika. Krishna has 2 dogs. Vyagra and Brahmaraka, their names. Vyagra means tiger. He looks like a tiger. 1 dog. And the other is known as Brahmaraka. And there are bulls and there are cows that we know. There are parrots, there are deer. So different animals are there. Dogs are there. It is mentioned 2 dogs are there. Krishna has 2 dogs. Okay? Hare Krishna. Anything else? Srimad Bhagavad-Gita ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Lord Shiva ki, Satchinandana Gaura Hari ki, Sri Radha Shyama Sundar ki, Go Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna.